Alright, so I'm going to be replacing the screen on this iPhone 8 Plus. So you're going to need a pentalobe 0.8 or P2 screwdriver to remove the bottom screws. Alright, so let's go ahead and remove those. Alright, there's 2 screws right on the bottom here, right next to the charge port. Just remove those 2. It's all kind of gross and crusty under here, so hopefully be able to get them out. Okay. Alright, once you get those 2 screws out, we're going to pop the screen open. This is a little bit tricky to do, so I use this super thin pry tool. You can use whatever you have that works. Some people tell me not to use metal, but I've never had an issues with this. As long as you know what you're doing, get the tool in the edge here like that, okay, and then slowly lift it up. Just lifting the edge, okay? You don't want to stick the tool too far or you can damage the internal components of the phone. So once you get the tool in, you work your way to the side. When you get to the sides, it actually has a little frame there that will stop you from pushing the tool too far, and then we're just going to slide the tool all the way up the side of the phone. Alright, we're going to go ahead and work our way around the bottom again. Again, you don't want to stick the tool too far, just like this. And then we're going to work our way up the other side. Okay, just like this. Alright, there we go. And you can use the tool to pop it open a little bit. And you want to be careful because there are the cables in the side of the screen. Okay, so once you pop the 2 sides up, let me show you here. Alright, if you look inside here, you'll see the cable is right there. Okay, so you want to be careful because if you cut that, then you're going to have some issues. This is actually the screen cable, so it's not too big of a deal. If you can, you want to shut the phone off first, but the touchscreen is broken on here now, so it won't even let me shut it down. Once you cut the bottom and the 2 sides, you want to be careful not to open it too far, but you want to pull this screen down. If it's not coming down, oops, you can actually use the tool to kind of help pull the adhesive as you kind of pull it down. Right, once you do that, you can open this up like a book, and you want to hold this so that you don't want to like drop it down, because then you can cut these 2 cables. This is like the screen sensors and everything, and then this is for the actual touchscreen and the LCD. So this is for like all the cameras and speakers and stuff up there. Alright, now we're going to remove this metal plate. This is using a PH0 screwdriver. Okay. Alright, PH or JIS0. I'll switch to that. And then we're going to remove all these screws. You want to keep all these screws in order because they are different size, shape, and lengths. If you get them mixed up, you can actually damage the phone. Alright, so we're going to take them out. The way I do that is I just put them in the pattern on my desk the way I remove them. So as you see, like these 3 go down in a diagonal, so I'll put them in a diagonal on my desk. I can't kind of put them in my camera view because then I might accidentally knock them over with the phone. So I'm putting them off to the side. Alright, but basically put them in the pattern you see. So like 1, 2, 3, and then 1 over there. Alright, this goes for pretty much every repair I do. I always try and keep all the screws in order. You can see this metal plate comes out. Alright, you want to be careful with this, especially since I can't actually power off the phone right now. Okay. Okay, once you get that metal plate out, we're going to disconnect the battery here. You want to use a plastic tool. I just use my fingernails. So I just get underneath there, okay, underneath that little tab here, and then I just pop that up, right? Just like that. And there we go, we disconnected the battery there. So once you disconnect the battery, you're going to want to press and hold the power button 10 to 15 seconds. This will drain any power from the phone to reduce risk of damaging anything electrically. Alright, so I'm going to hold this about 10-15 seconds. Alright, today's a pretty hot day. Hopefully my phone's not going to overheat while doing this recording. Sometimes it does, and I have to use the heater to help remove some of these components. So yeah, alright, so disconnected the battery. Next we're going to remove the thing up here. This is using a I believe it's a Y000 or Y0.6. Alright, I'm going to switch to that screwdriver. Okay, and again, you want to keep these screws in order. There's 2 screws here holding this in place. There's 1 here off to the side of that cable. Okay. And then there's another one here off to the other side of it. And you want to be careful with that cable, because if you break that cable, you're not going to have all the cameras and sensors. All right, there we go. And your ear speaker won't work. All right, once you remove that, you can take this metal plate out. Okay, just like that. Set that aside. Then we're going to go ahead and pop this connector out. This can be a little bit tricky. Again, I just use my fingernail there. It's hard to show this because the cable is kind of in the view, but let me see if I can do that. All right, basically just get your fingernail or pry tool in there in the little edge. Okay, and then pop that out just like that. There we go. We're going to pop these two LCD cables out as well. Just get my fingernail under there and then pop that up. All right, oops, there we go. And then we're going to get the other cable underneath as well here. So it's a little bit hard to see because it's like on a weird foam. There's a foam pad on top, but same thing. I just get my fingernail in there and then pop that out. All right, so there we go. Now we're going to go ahead and peel off this old adhesive. It looks like they had their screen replaced at one point. So this isn't actually the actual Apple screen. There's this little K logo here. So that means they actually had their screen replaced before. That probably explains why the adhesive along the top came out so easily. Usually I don't put back the adhesive because it doesn't really seal the phone or do anything well. So just make sure if you're going to replace your screen, your phone is going to lose its water resistance. I mean, if you cracked it, then the water resistance is gone anyways. But just keep that in mind. All right. So we're going to take out this old adhesive. I don't know why they just left that gunk in there. So they just put this on top of the old adhesive, which is kind of bad because it creates lumps in the frame. And then when it drops, it's more likely to crack where the adhesive is kind of lumped up. So yeah. All right. So we're going to remove all this old adhesive here. Sorry if I go out of view of the camera, it's hard for me to see what I'm doing while I'm focusing on the thing I'm working on. All right, get all of that out. There we go. Okay, so we got all the old adhesive out. That might mean that these things are going to come out a lot easier since they already had this worked on before. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up the replacement screen and I'll show you what the difference is. Okay, so here you go. This one has a metal plate on it. There's also this rubber piece. I'm going to throw that away. If your screen has this metal plate on it, you don't need to worry about transferring this metal plate over. But if it doesn't, then you'll want to transfer this whole metal plate over. Okay. So you can tell because they have the little screws already in the side here. Okay. So I don't have to remove that metal plate. All right. So next thing we're going to do, we're going to remove the screws here to get all these components out. So first thing we want to do is get the home button out. Okay, so to get the home button out, you want to keep one finger underneath the home button. All right, and then you want to take the tri-wing screw out from the home button here. Okay, while you're keeping your finger underneath so that you don't push the home button through the screen. All right, once you get that screw out, then you can go ahead and remove these other screws normally. Okay. All right, again, you want to keep the screws in order because they are different size, shape, and lengths. My right collarbone is still somewhat hurts when I move my arm around too much, so I have to be a little bit careful here. All right, so get all those screws out. All right, so we got those 4 screws out. We're going to take this metal plate out and set that aside. And then we're going to lift this piece out. Normally, I would use heat. But we're going to see it's a warm day today, and also this has been worked on before, so it'll likely come out pretty easily. To disconnect this cable, let me zoom in to show this a little bit better. Oh, my phone is really hot. Okay, so what you do, I use one fingernail to hold the bottom part of this connector down, and then I'll use my other fingernail to pop it apart. All right, so just like this, I'm holding it with one fingernail, and then the other one to pop it open, and there you go. You can see the connector right there separated. Okay, so this connector down here is part of the screen, so we just have to take out this piece. All right, to remove that, I use a needle that I kind of had bent like this, and then let's get this connector out of the way first so it's not in the way. Okay, so this piece is just part of the screen. We're going to move that out of the way. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my needle underneath this piece. Okay, if it's too difficult to get, I might have to use some heat. Let's see here. Yeah, and then what I do, because I have this bend, I use the bend to push underneath the cable, so that way I don't accidentally stab into the cable. So here you go, getting this piece out. Okay, just like that. All right, so we got this out. We're gonna push the home button through, just like this. Okay, there we go. And then we're gonna have to install that into the new screen. So let's get the new screen. Okay, so the new screen has that clear adhesive on it. So you're gonna have to peel this back a little bit. All right, so I just peeled this adhesive back. Okay, now we're gonna get the home button. You wanna be very careful, because if you break this cable, you'll never get the Touch ID back. You can't get a replacement button with Touch ID. You can only get home button functionality. All right, so we're gonna thread this through here. Okay, make sure that you lift up the one cable that's underneath there. Okay, so you want this little cable that's sticking out part of the screen to end up on top of this home button. Okay, just like that. All right, and then you want to line up the little dimple there with that hole in the cable there. Okay, so try and get the home button flush. All right, there we go. And then line up that little dimple. There we go. All right, you can put the little screen protector thing back up, and then we're gonna reconnect this cable. Usually you're gonna have to push this cable slightly that direction. So I'm gonna use my thumb, and with my fingernail, as you can see, I'm pushing that cable inwards, and then I'll clip this down. All right, so there you go. You can see the cable connected, and it's nice and tight in place. All right, so now let's go ahead and reconnect the screws down here. So when I put this back, first I set this into place, and then what I do is I loosely fit the screws around the home button, and then once I get all three of those in, then I will go ahead and put the screw for the home button. But again, you want to support the home button from the bottom. All right, so I'm going to loosely fit that screw. The second one, I want to make sure all these screws go in properly before I tighten it down. Okay, sometimes it's not lined up and then it moves around, so you want to do that. All right, now that we got all three in, we'll tighten them into place. Okay, now again, we're going to pick up the phone and keep our finger underneath the home button to keep it from pushing through the screen. Okay, I'm gonna flip it over, and I'm gonna keep one finger underneath here, like that, as I put this screw into place. There we go. And actually, this screen is like same model as the replacement one they had here before. So, okay, so, yep, also by this MP Plus. All right, so now what we're going to do, we're gonna peel this piece. Well, we'll do this after we remove the sensors first. Okay, so let's go back to the old screen, and this is held in with PH0 screws, so we're going to get rid of the Y000. I'm actually well, I might still need that. Okay, let's go ahead and remove these PH0 screws. Again, keep them in order. 1, 2. All right, 3. Screw's kind of staying in there, so we're gonna leave that one, and then we'll take out the next screw. 3, 4. All right, and then we can lift this whole thing out with the screw since it doesn't want to come out. Oh, there we go. So that came out, and then the it's stuck to the magnet of the speaker, so take that out. All right, so got those 5 screws out. Now we're going to remove the speaker, and from the assembly, you want to be careful not to touch the bottom of the lens of the camera. So we'll just take the speaker out like that. Here you can see where the speaker connects using little springs onto these metal pads, or the gold pads. All right, most likely I'm gonna have to heat this. We'll see. Let's see if it'll pop up without it. So this part, I have to use the needle here to get into the little gaps here to lift out these sensors. Okay, just like that. It's a little bit difficult to do these. These are fragile, so you want to be very careful. And then you got to lift at the corner of the little sensors and kind of work your way over to the side here. Okay, and then work your way down. And there we go. We got these sensors out just like that. If it doesn't come out easily, you want to apply some heat. I use like a little heater. You can use like a hot air gun or a hair dryer to heat up the glass here, because sometimes there's actually a little bit of adhesive holding these sensors into the frame. Okay, so once we got all those sensors up, we're going to go ahead and get underneath this plastic stickery part here. Okay. And we're just gonna scrape underneath there to try and lift this out. Okay, so here you can see this is the, I think that's a microphone. So we're gonna go ahead and get underneath there using the needle and peeling that away from the earpiece speaker assembly. Okay, just like this. Okay. And if you can't get that out, you can actually rip the whole speaker thing. Let me show you here. So you can actually pull this whole earpiece assembly out. You want to be careful because we also have to peel up the little gold dots things here. So I'm going to do that. Okay. Again, make sure not to touch the camera lens. All right, so let's get underneath this. Okay. So we're going to get underneath those little gold dots there. And then we're going to work our way over, peeling that all up. There we go. Okay, and then now that we got that peeled up, we're going to go ahead, I'll show you this way because it's actually easier. Let's peel up this speaker, speaker assembly here, and just pull that out. It looks like there's adhesive also holding down here, so let's actually scrape further down here. All right. Oh, I think I have a customer here. Might have to go soon. Oh, this one's really tough. I might have to apply heat. It's stuck pretty strong on there. Okay, well, let's see. I'm going to slowly peel this and take a look. Okay, I'm going to try and grab underneath here and peel the adhesive away. Okay, it looks like I can peel it this way, so there we go. All right, so we're done with this old screen. There's nothing else on there. We're going to set that aside. Now what we're going to do is we're going to separate the microphone from this piece here. So again, you can use heat. Be careful here because you don't want to crease these cables too far. All right, so we're gonna slowly peel this away from the microphone, the earpiece microphone area. So you can, you can grab that piece and you can slowly peel that away. Okay, just like this. And there we go. So we separated that from this earpiece thing. Okay, so now let's get the replacement screen. We're going to peel this adhesive protector strip away, toss that in the trash. All right, now we got to line up all these sensors and put them back. It works best to line up the little gold dots, contact points, with these dimples first. Okay, just get those lined up. All right, and then you can push those down, get that stuck down. Then we're going to go ahead and stick down the microphone and everything. Okay, just like that, and then get these little sensors into place. All right, it might be a little tricky to get these sensors into place. You might have to work around, make sure it goes flat. If they don't go flat and you try and force it, you're going to damage this. All right, then we're going to get the speaker. Make sure to lift up the camera, get that underneath. Okay, I think my customer's outside. Get the speaker lined up, get the camera down. All right, and then we're gonna take the little bracket and put that back over the top. Okay, then you gotta hold this into place as you get the screws and put them in. So I'm gonna hold this down, get my screwdriver. It helps to have the tip being magnetic. You can actually magnetize the tips with a strong magnet, and we'll loosely fit the screws in again, just like before. Once you get 2 of them in, you can let go because then it will hold everything else into place. Come on. This screw's a little bit tricky. There we go. Okay, now we got 2 screws in. Let's go ahead and do the last 3 and then tighten it when we get to the final screw. Again, we're just loosely fitting them right now until we get the last screw in to make sure everything is lined up properly. All right, last screw. And we'll tighten it all the way down. Tighten this screw all the way. Alright, tighten this screw all the way. Tighten this screw all the way. And tighten that screw all the way. Alright, now we got all the screws into place. This one oops, let me zoom out a little bit. So this piece you want to be a little careful because it does move around, and when you put the thing in, you want to make sure that it lines up with this little gap here, because if it's slightly over here, this will push against the back of the screen and it can cause it to make the color kind of put pressure, like it'll put pressure on the screen and you'll see like the color will change if you push on it there. All right, and then it increases the risk of damaging the screen if you were to drop it. So now we're going to reconnect these. It helps to reconnect the top part first. Okay, so we're going to start over there. Then we're going to do this, kind of get it lined up. So this is a little bit tricky because when you pull this down, it kind of changes the angle of the connector. Okay, but do it however you can, get it lined up. Sometimes it helps to use like a small tool like this. All right, again, you don't want to use something metal that can conduct electricity, or you can there's a lot more risk you'll damage the device. All right, so get that lined up. Again, this part is the trickiest to get. All right, get that cable lined up. Come on. All right, get it lined up and then push that into place. All right, once I get that pushed in, I'm going to use my fingernail to make sure it clicks in. It has a bit more, I can feel more feedback. All right, felt it click into place. And then we're going to go ahead and flip the screen slightly to get these connected. All right, get this connector in. Hopefully I'm not getting my head in the way. All right, again, it's a little bit tricky. You have to feel around, make sure you get the connector right. If you get it in right, you'll know, because if you try and move the connector around by sliding your finger on top, it kind of stays in place like this, see? And then you can go ahead and pop it down. All right, once you get everything clicked into place, you can go ahead and click the battery in. Make sure double check that everything is clicked in. If you click the battery in and it's not, and everything else isn't clicked in right, you can actually damage the phone. So you want to be very careful. All right, now that we got everything, let's go ahead and power it up and see if the Apple logo comes on. Once we confirm the Apple logo comes on, we're good. All right, so there we go. Let's go ahead and put the rest of the screws back. If you want to be safe, you can disconnect the battery and then press and hold the power button again. Make sure you shut it down properly though. All right, so let me do that just to show you guys the proper way to do it and not risk damaging the phone. All right, let's wait for this to boot up. I'm gonna hold this off screen and I'll be back once it starts up. All right. All right, so here you can see their screen was screwed up. So I'm going to, it disabled, so I'm just gonna turn it off and then hold the power button and shut it off. Okay, so the screen is working. I have a customer waiting outside, so I will be back and I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, we're gonna just put the rest of the screws back and then I'll show you how to put the screen in properly. All right, see you guys soon. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and put the screws back in. Okay, so again, like I was saying, let's go ahead and disconnect the battery just to be safe. All right, pop that back out. Let's go ahead and hold the power button again. Okay, probably don't need to hold it as long because we're not going to do much on it, but we'll do it anyways just to be safe. Okay, we're going to get this little metal bracket again. Let's open this up, take the metal bracket, get that back in place. All right, going to close that so I don't have to hold it. Let's go ahead and get these screws. We're going to need the Y000 screwdriver. Okay, get that on my screwdriver just like this. Open that up. All right, so make sure this is lined up. Okay, this is going to be a little tricky. Get that screw into place. There we go. And then don't over tighten it because we're going to have to move that bracket around to make sure it stays lined up. Get the second screw. Open that up. Same thing. Get it in there. All right, and now that we got both, let's tighten that down and tighten the other one down. All right, now we're going to have to actually push the battery connector back down. So reconnect the battery. There we go. Make sure it turns on, of course. There we go, looks good. I'm going to switch over to the PH0 or JAS0 screwdriver. Get the metal bracket. Be very careful not to drop this around inside. All right, get that lined up. Get the first screw. Okay. Get this screw lined up. Oh, the magnet is making it a little bit tricky. All right, there we go. Loosely fit that. Get the other screw. We're going to get the bottom one on the left. Get that screw into there. I like to twist it backwards to hear it click into place, and then go ahead and twist it forward, just in case you guys are wondering, because some people wonder why I'm twisting it the wrong way. All right, second and third screw. Get that, and the last screw. Okay. Oops. All right, iPhone's disabled 14 minutes, so hopefully after the 14 minutes their phone will be okay. Let's go ahead and put the last screw, tighten that into place. All right, and now let's tighten all the screws down. Okay, you want to be very careful with these screws because if your screwdriver is not the right size, you don't want to overdo it and strip out these screws. If you do, you'll never get the screen out or back in. All right, there we go. I'm going to switch over to the Pentalobe 0.8 or P2 screwdriver. All right, so to put the screen back in, what you have to do, you have to lift the bottom slightly. Okay, let me zoom out to show this because it's not vertical. Right, so while you're lifting the bottom, you want to slide the top part in here. Okay, and then slowly lower it down. I like to put the bottom sides in first while I'm kind of holding the sides up just to make sure everything is flush. And then you can go ahead and push these sides into place. Right, there we go. And then like I was saying, there's that little metal piece, that bulging part. You want to turn on the screen and make sure when you push here that if I push okay, it's fine, but if you push really hard, you'll see where the metal piece hits, or actually there. So you can see, oops, I don't know if you can even see that. I have to press pretty hard. So that means it's lined up right. All right, but if you see like the color like blinking around or like changing, turning brighter, then that's how you know that you have the thing lined up wrong, and you'll have to open it and move that piece, adjust it further up so that it's not smashing between the screen. All right, there we go. Let's go ahead and put the last two screws back in, and we are good to go. So hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, please like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can also repair their own devices. If you can, please consider contributing or supporting the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Alright, let's just get this last screw back in. These screws are a little tough to get back in, they're really tiny. Alright. It doesn't help that the screw is like filled with some gunk in there. There we go. Alright, got the screen all reassembled. Everything's good to go. Now we just gotta wait. Timer's at 12 minutes. Alright, and I'll see you all later. Let's drop this. Bye.